So it's incredible, I know, but Liverpool have won a football match in the Premier League for the first time in God knows how long. And Jesus Christ, this was a scrappy win, wasn't it? A very hard-fought, blustery Sunderland evening on a Wednesday night. Rain pouring down, really, really scrappy game, but ending Sunderland's unbeaten home record, which was interesting. But overall, Liverpool pulling out a performance despite the fact it looks like we've got another serious injury for Endo. Basically, our entire squad is injured at this point. I don't think we've got any senior players left on the bench now, apart from Kirkes and Robertson rotating. Obviously, Jones came on as well. But overall, Liverpool getting the job done, but looking very thin on the ground now in terms of players. I think this is one of the main reasons that we've suffered this season so much. It's because we haven't had the ability to bring in fresh players that of a good standard of quality in order to affect games. I think the Isak injury is starting to tell on Ekitike, who's looking a little bit leggy in the past few games, struggling really to make any kinds of impact. After about 60 minutes or so, he looks pretty shot. He's not really able to run that much, not really able to press. In general, I think we're struggling from a big fatigue in the squad, and the amount of injuries we're racking up is pretty unbelievable, to be honest. We've got like 3 or 4 major long-term injuries at the minute to some key players. Bradley looks like he could be injured forever. Frimpong's injured again. We've got so many injuries across the board, and it's really starting to tell, I think, with Liverpool in terms of the quality that we're putting out. I think we are creating a lot of chances. I think people that are saying slot out are a bit idiotic, to be honest, because the amount of chances we create every game, that's because of the manager's setup. But it's pretty clear that we're not putting the ball in the back of there anywhere near enough for some reason. And again, it took another set piece for us to get a goal on the board, which is not good enough in my opinion. We need to be scoring goals from open play at least 2 or 3 times a game. In my opinion, I think we should have scored a bunch of goals against Man City, but it took the set piece for us to score. But overall, in general, I think Liverpool, there's a little bit of a malaise right now, isn't there? Obviously, Szoboszlai's been banned for 3 games for that ridiculous challenge on Haaland. But overall, a bunch of stuff that's just been going wrong at Liverpool at the minute. This win was massive though, wasn't it? 42 points now, which takes us 3 points off of 4th place. We need to stay in contention for the Champions League spots for as long as we can, until we can seem to figure out what's going on with us. I'm absolutely amazed that we didn't buy any forwards in January, because Gakpo, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think he can be considered a football player with the horrific performances that he seems to be putting in, week out, but for some reason keeps starting games. It's very, very confusing in general. Honestly, the fact that we were playing with, I think Gakpo started pretty much every game off the bench last season. Diaz, Jota, Salah was the front line that I used to remember the most. Obviously, Núñez would come in and rotate with Jota as that front position. Diaz would sometimes be the forward, and sometimes we'd play a left winger, Gakpo maybe, or Jota, or they might rotate. But in general, Gakpo usually started from the bench last season, and I think he's much more impactful from there. I don't think he's very good starting games. He really doesn't seem like he's adding anything to the team at the minute. Salah obviously continues to go through his malaise right now. I don't know whether it's a physical issue that he just can't keep up with the Premier League standard anymore in terms of the speed of the game, the amount that he needs to run, the amount that he needs to press. He does still create, and he does still have that ability to create, but in terms of the setup, it's quite difficult to watch him sometimes. The amount of times where he'd be running in on goal and he's just not finishing chances anymore, it's very, very disheartening to see. But in yesterday's video, I said that Liverpool right now are in kind of a position where last season we had workhorses up front that would also provide goals and assists, but they would work for the team. Núñez and Diaz would always run back during games and help defend. And I said that this season we don't really have that. We've got more lazy forwards that don't do as much defending. They do what I call token defending, which is you have Ekitike, Salah and Gakpo, and to a lesser extent Wirtz, because he has been much more physical recently and winning the ball back quite high up the pitch, but they're a bit more lazy in terms of defending. Whereas last season I really felt like everyone ran for the team. Every single player would get back in positions. How many times would you see Núñez running back from the forward positions into like right back or left back and make a challenge that was really, really helpful? Those kinds of things are not happening this season. Ekitike, I love Ekitike and Wirtz. I think they're very, very good players, and they're doing exactly what they need to be doing, but they need more players behind them that are going to be covering in defensive situations. I've alluded to this before, but the Aston Villa model of having a 4-4-2 and basically Rodgers and Watkins being the two, and then having basically midfielders as your four, I think it works really, really well, because there's just more legs in there, more physicality, they look solid, but then they can also break forward, and they just have this kind of like, just a really good balance to the team. And I feel like if we played 4-4-2, which is essentially what we played yesterday, to be fair, but we had Salah and Gakpo as the left and right midfielders, and they just don't have enough defensive qualities to make us look really solid. And it just leaves us looking really open, really, really open in transitions, particularly. McAllister and Gravenberch are essentially having to cover the entirety of the pitch in the middle third, left to right, because they're not getting enough cover from the forwards at all. And it's very, very telling when teams, even like Sunderland, breaking on us, the amount of times yesterday where they would break onto us in transition, and it would basically be a case of, well, the entirety of our team is up the pitch. We've got essentially four forwards, two midfielders. The forwards are just jogging back, and we've got McAllister and Gravenberch trying to screen transitions, and it just looks very, very ragged. And I just think if at least one of those players was a midfielder instead of a winger or a forward, like instead of playing Gakpo, you could play Curtis Jones, which is what he did towards the end, and we looked a lot more solid then as well, which was interesting. But essentially at the end of the game, he put Curtis Jones on instead of Gakpo and just had him be a midfielder, and it worked really well. Overall, Liverpool, I think, still with some thinking to do, and I think there's plenty of things that they could do to improve with the players that they have in terms of stability and rigidity of the team. But overall, a positive result for Liverpool, massive 3 points, and as far as I'm concerned, hopefully we can start getting some players back from injury soon, because it's been a absolute merry-go-round of having kids on the bench, because everyone in the first team seems to keep getting injured. We've got Isak, Szoboszlai, Frimpong, Conor Bradley, Gomez is back now, but obviously Leone got injured as well. Kirkes and Robertson thankfully have managed to keep themselves fit, but there's been a few niggly injuries in the midfield areas as well. Isak is such a massive miss for us. But overall, hopefully we can start getting some players back and build some momentum at the end of this season. Let me know your thoughts down below, like and subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.